Hey guys, welcome back here to today's edition of Advanced Bass Fishing, and appreciate you guys swinging by the channel today. Guys, today I just want to have just a little conversation, just a nothing specific I want to talk about other than the fact that I want to pass along a few things that you can do over the next year that's really going to help you catch more fish. This is a limitless list. We could talk all day about this, but there's 4 or 5 things that come to the top of my mind that a lot of people probably haven't done or taken the time to use or do, and I'm going to point out what those are today. And if you just sort of implement these simple changes in your fishing, you're going to notice a definite increase in the consistency of your bass fishing. It's like you're going to have a lot fewer trips where you struggle or don't catch them, and you're going to start noticing you catch more fish more consistently all the time. So we're going to get into that in today's episode here. Also, guys, before we get started, one quick thing is I just wanted to make everybody aware of the big spring fishing sale that Tackle Warehouse has got going on right now. If you guys are looking to get stocked up for this spring, I'll have my Tackle Warehouse link in the description. And if you guys want to support the channel here, that's a great way to do it, is to use my link. The channel gets a small percentage of the commission on anything you buy there, so really appreciate that. Okay, guys, another truck video here. One of those weeks I've had a super busy week. Getting ready. Got an on-the-water lesson tomorrow, and then I'm going to go practicing for on Thursday and Friday for my first tournament of the year up at Lake of the Ozarks at BFL. I haven't had time to get on the lake to do any on-the-water stuff yet, so I'm trying to get a video done anywhere that I can. So I'll promise I'll try to get out on the water a little bit more over the next couple weeks here. Okay, a couple different things here. Let's just talk about some random things that you can do that really is going to help your fishing out a lot. One of the things that a lot of people do is they carry too much stuff in the boat. And a lot of times, if you have too many options in the boat, that is going to take yourself away from really working on what's important, and that's trying to locate those fish. So one of the easiest things you can do, and it's really helped my fishing out too, is to try to incorporate a lot of different baits that you have, like in 1 or 2 boxes. So instead of like taking a whole box of wiggle warts or a whole box of square bill crankbaits, pick out 2 or 3, square bills, 2 or 3 wiggle warts, 2 or 3 whatever type of crankbaits, and put together some type of a simple box that gives you some options for maybe different water clarities, different sky conditions, and keep it basic and simple. And it's the same with your rod and reel outfits. Instead of having like 20 rods in your rod locker, put 5 or 6 in there. Put a couple different styles based upon what you're going to do. And that way you're limited. You're not going to spend all your time digging around in the bottom of the boat, trying to find the right lure. And I'm not saying that doesn't work sometimes, some type of a lure change, because sometimes it doesn't. But it will force you to do something that you probably haven't done before, and that's pay more attention to what the fish are doing. Let me give you a perfect example I'm talking about. About 4 or 5 years ago, I ran a Ranger aluminum boat. I was going to fish out of it for 1 year. And this Ranger aluminum that I had, it had like no storage in it. I mean, it had the least amount of storage about any boat that I ever had. And when I first got it, it's like, what am I going to do with all my tackle? It's like, I got nowhere to put this stuff. So I had to do just what I told you. I had to make smaller boxes and put not as many lures in them, and really focus on what I thought was going to be working where I was going fishing at. To make a long story short, guys, halfway through the season out of fishing that boat, I was fishing the Bassmaster Opens. I was in 2nd place in Angler of the Year. Should have been winning it. I lost a bunch of fish. I should have been leading Angler of the Year after midway in the season. Fishing simple, not having a lot of tackle in the boat. And then about halfway in the season, I got to deal with Skeeter boats and got a Skeeter that had a ton of storage. So I started taking all my stuff again. I put more rods, more tackle in there. And the second half of the season, I sucked. I'm not saying that maybe that's not the whole reason, but it really showed me the power of simplicity. So never underestimate that. Okay, the next thing you can do is, I've talked about this a little bit in some videos before, but if you didn't hear it, it's worth repeating because it's so critical, is you have got to become the best caster and trolling motor operator that you can possibly be. Those 2 things, guys, if you're weak in either one of those areas, I'm talking about trolling motor running or casting, different type of cast, sidearm, skipping, overhand, pitching and flipping, whatever. If you're weak in any of those areas, or you're weak on the trolling motor, the amount of fish that you're leaving in the water is unbelievable, simply because of that. Because if you can't put that bait right where you want it, especially target fishing, you're not going to hardly catch any fish at all. I mean, you have got to put that bait where you want it 9 times out of 10 to catch the fish. And it's the same with your boat positioning. If you're too far away or too close, or you come in too hot or too slow, all of that stuff is going to take away your success. And trolling motor operation is more complex than a lot of people realize, because if you can't operate your trolling motor out of nothing but feel, where you don't even have to look at your foot, you don't have to look at the trolling motor indicator knob, anything like that, until you can do that where it's almost like the trolling motor is an extension of your foot, then you have got a lot of work to do on the trolling motor. You should be able to run a trolling motor in the dark, and know exactly where you're going, simply because of the movement of the boat and the angle of your foot. So practice on those things, like practice on approaching a piece of cover where you don't get too far away or too close to it, and adjust for the wind or the current or something like that. Practice casting, get it out in your backyard and do it. Guys, it's a very mundane and very oversimplified, part of bass fishing, but it's one that so many people leave out. I mean, that's probably the number one thing that I see that separates guys that don't catch a lot of fish versus guys that catch a ton of fish, is their casting skills and their boat positioning skills. So that's a big part of it. Next thing you can do is, a lot of people, this is another overlooked one too, is you have got to use the right pound test line when you're fishing. It's like, you can't go too heavy, you can't go too right. You have to go exactly the proper pound test for the technique and conditions you're fishing. Now, this is a broad stroke of the brush here. It's like I could talk 2 hours about it, but the main thing is you have to take in consideration the line size, how it affects the action of your lure, how it affects the fall of your lure, the cover that you're fishing, if the cover is thick or sparse or in between, something like that, the visibility of the water, all of that stuff goes together. So the line size dictates a lot of that. It dictates how deep your crankbait goes. It dictates how far you can cast the lure. It dictates your ability to get strikes, in clear water situations, or get the fish out of heavy cover. Line size in correlation with your weight on any type of a slow bait, like a jig or a Texas rig or a Ned rig, has a huge impact on it as far as your feel and how that bait falls, because the diameter of the line that you use will change the fall and the angle and the rate of fall of a bait that you're fishing on the bottom. And on the other side of the spectrum, the size of the line that you fish on a moving bait, like a crankbait or a jerk bait or something like that, is going to affect the action of the bait and how deep it runs. So you have to spend some time really understanding the exact pound test to use. And also, along with that, guys, is the type of line to use, whether it's mono, fluorocarbon, or braid, which is another thing there. Okay, another thing that is going to help you out a lot, and this is something that a lot of guys get their panties in the water about when I talk about it, is learn to back reel on a spinning reel, and learn to use your thumb bar depression. Learn to depress your thumb bar on a bait caster as your drag. Once you get to be a master at back reeling, you will understand how worthless a drag is on a spinning reel, because when you learn how to back reel at a master's level, you can put the precise amount of pressure on a fish when it's making a run or jumping or whatever like that you cannot do with a drag. I don't care if you've got a $20,000 spinning reel with the most highly advanced drag, you simply can't be as precise as you can by feeling that fish with that rod in your hand and be able to back reel and to be able to adjust to the movement and the power and the acceleration of the fish. This is something that so many people have gotten sucked into using a drag for a spinning outfit. And even a lot of good anglers to do that. But most of the anglers that use a drag on a spinning rod, or even pros, it's simply because they have not mastered the art of back reeling. It doesn't have anything to do with the type of reel that you're fishing. And the same is true on a bait caster. It's like a drag on a bait caster is a very inefficient piece of equipment. But if you learn to depress your thumb bar and then put your thumb on the line, you can do the same thing. You can control how much line that fish takes. You know, you can press it down where they don't take any line, or you can put it as loose as you want to, where there's a minimal amount of pressure. Just doing those two things is going to help you land a lot more fish. You're not going to lose near as many fish by learning how to do that. Okay, we could go on and on, but one final thing that I'll leave you guys with today is, above anything else in bass fishing, if you're going to be consistent as a bass angler day in and day out, is you have to learn about the bass. And this is where I lose most people. When I talk about studying the bass and learning the bass behavior and movement, this is when most people check out, because they want me to tell them the best color, or a new lure that came out, or a new piece of technology that you can use to see the fish better. But nothing, guys, will ever replace the understanding and awareness of like the nuances of fishing, like seasonal patterns and movement, and the mood and the personality of the bass. It's all affected by tons of different stuff. It's all affected by the weather conditions, weather patterns, the light intensity of the day that you have, the water clarity, the wind direction, the wind speed, excuse me, fishing pressure, the type of bass that you have in a lake, any type of, outside influences beyond that. I mean, it's a never-ending class that you're in about learning about bass. So try to become a student of the bass and try to learn as much as you can about, how they react to certain lures and the places that they live in, and, things that they prefer, and how environmental conditions affects their mood and their personality. That is something you're never going to learn quick. Something that takes a lifetime, and you still won't learn it. I mean, I'm still learning a ton about it. And do it the right way. It's like, don't try to cut corners in bass fishing. Don't try to use like shortcuts to your success, because it's going to rob you away from that whole the whole journey of what bass fishing is. Just learn it on your own. Try to spend as much time on the water by yourself as you can, and let that whole process of discovery take place. That process of discovery and that unknown part about fishing is what gives it the value that it has. So just a few tips today in today's video, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll talk later.